Part 3. Right. Just another update I fill you in on the other captain. Yeah, based on the weather, it's not happening today, which is fair enough. I was just speaking to his wife and said, I was about to call you guys when you rocked up in the yard to say, I really don't think. Actually, this is another thing I wanted to say. Did you hear what I just said? I really don't think. That's silly, isn't it? How many times have we said that? Whoa. I'll just slide in another cookie of insight there. Instead of saying something along the lines, look, based on assessment of the weather patterns, it appears it will not be a very good idea to put the boat in the water today and then try and dock on an outgoing tide with the wind coming on the nose, which actually be fairly decent. But there you go. So there you go. That little cookie is. How many times have you said, "Oh, I don't think that's a very good idea," and then you think, "I don't think that's a very good idea." I don't think. Wow. Yeah. That is not a very good way to speak or think, is it? Interesting. Right. So, snuck that little one in. That might have been a cookie with a bit of icing on it. Cookie number 3 is about belief. Now, you may or may not believe this or deem this to be valid. So let's just start off with, take the dictionary out of it. This is just an intuitive definition coming from me. Let's say belief is an accumulation of information that one deems valid based on personal experiences or research. I'll let you press pause, rewind and play to listen to that again. So let's just say that's a belief. Because to be lived, to live in the being of. Play around with the word a little bit there. There's a little clip out there about a Jamaican fella and a white fella, and the Jamaican fella says, How can you believe what you don't know? How can you believe in what you don't know? You only believe what. He says, how can you believe what you know? You only believe what you don't know. Playing words, right? See, you may or may not have come across that video, but here's the thing. Because then, if I was to have a chin wag, I could see where you're coming from. But what if it's this? See, what is it that you feel makes what you're saying valid or have a truth to it? Would you not believe in that? Because I believe it's right. So you could go backwards and forwards. And it might be to agree to disagree, but who cares? Well, I don't need to agree, but I can always say, hey, that seems valid, but how do I know that that's valid? This is where it comes from. What have I personally researched? What have I personally studied? And then that would be a very good indicator of why someone thinks and acts that way or behaves, and another person thinks and acts and behaves that way. So there has to be a belief, even if it is a knowing or a not knowing. They believe in it. So they deem it's valid. They confirm that the information around the idea or the ideology or the belief has a truth. as a validation based on personal experiences and studies. And then this is my add-on, and it's another what if. What if it isn't anything to do with the belief? What it truly is, even perspective. That might be a word that you're like, oh, I know, but it's all perception, which is true. But then, how do we define the self? How do we define that being, the perspective, to see it in a certain way, to think and feel? And then when I said think, see, and feel, and then what is a feeling? It's sort of like I'm filtering my own thinking. Okay, then out of all of that filtration, I've compacted that, turned that into a cookie of insight for you. That it does come down to the vibration or the harmony or the resonancy. It's what it is that we are resonating with. So instead of it being a belief in something, I'm actually resonating in something. Let's say I'm resonating in the vibration of its presence. Thought energy. So whether it's a belief or a knowing or a thinking, whatever that is, right? That is potentially a thought energy, because it's in the mind, and that almost, whether you believe that or not, is irrelevant. Simply because it can be deemed a factual truth, just based on pure practical, generalized intellect. The brain is active. Energy, movement, there has to be something firing that's an energy. So let's say that all renders down into an energy. So let's say it's a mental energy or a thought energy. So someone is speaking in a certain way, and we think it is, that's what you believe in. And then it just may be, it's got nothing to do whether I believe in something. It's the resonancy. Yeah, wow, look, this wind's really coming up. I'll give you a quick. Okay. Almost got some Ben Gravy waves out there. My chains are rattling. Okay, so that's now going on to cookie number 4. Cookie number 4 about that resonancy. Then that led me into, that might be why I have this, I believe the word is affinity with wood. It may have been as I was growing up as a little kid with my granddad in the granddad's house. My granddad was an antique furniture restorer, good old classic, working with your hands. And he was a very good painter. And he was also, as a young lad, in the Scottish Royal Marines. How's that for interesting? So to continue the story and give it to you as an insight cookie about what is our purpose and the passion and all of these things, that this may help you. What do you resonate with? Now I ask that question to you, and to give it to you as you can take on that momentum in the question with your own answers. But for me, it was like, that could be the thing, and the universe or the cosmic council are going to go, he's going to get it sooner or later. Right? He'll figure it out, because eventually it will compound to such a degree you'll go, oh, I think I know what I'm meant to be doing. It's, yeah, working with wood, and then honouring, honouring the fact that I'm in the existence of a society. Like, that's just the truth, right? That's a fact. That's a practical fact. Unless, to live out of society, I must be willing to live outside of society, and then all of the dynamics that come with that, okay? Or can I live in such a way of an ebb and flow, of a tide coming in and a tide coming out, and the sun coming up and the sun going down, and the phases of the moon, okay? Because all of these exist regardless of what's going on with me. So you see, there's the person out there who is a really good welder, or something is, and props to the parents or the parent or the guardian who nurtures and can recognize what is resonating with a young one, and helping them to flourish. And then every time they change the residency, it doesn't matter. They just go, oh, okay, you're into that now. That's cool. Which is a good way to be when you think about it, because it's similar to food and it's similar to music. If I choose to not expose myself to the things that I don't like, how then can I truly bring myself into a position of finding what it is I truly like, what really resonates with me? Not what do I resonate, but what resonates with me. And then understanding that and recognizing, and that goes back to cookie number one, to truly know is that to be willing to be in a position of willing to truly observe. So keep the lid on tight if you're not ready for that right now. That's okay. You're on your quest. I'm on my quest. Everyone's on their quest. And some people just might not be going where they want to, where you think that they need to go. And I was like that for some time. I was preaching. I was jumping up and down. I wasn't focused on my own quest. Let's use the analogy of watering someone else's garden, or looking over the fence going, oh, hey, you should be trimming your roses, and they'll look over and go, how about you trim your own bloody roses? Oh yeah, but I've been reading the books. Well, that's all reading. Reading the books is just reading the books, isn't it? it's a catch-22. You see these ads out there like, oh, invest in yourself and read the books. They come in handy. But a brick is just a brick. Right? If I use other materials and other resources and I pair that brick with other bricks and I position that brick with another brick in a particular way, I can build a wall, I can build a structure similar to a book. So think of it that way. This is what I've actually personally done. I have collected brick upon brick upon brick upon brick upon brick, and even in truth, wood. I've hoarded wood so many fruitcaking times and done nothing with it. Done nothing with it. Done nothing with it. And because I've done nothing with it through my hesitation, let's just say in the wood, because I appreciate that piece of wood as it is, and for some reason, right, I don't want to disrupt that wood as it stands. But as it stands, it's just a piece of wood. Whereas I could break that piece of wood down and convert it into multiple pieces of wood, and let's say make a picture frame. And let's add on to that. I could take an old painter's drop sheet, which is canvas. I could stretch that, or I could put that on a wooden frame. I can paint that white. Then I can paint on that. So I've converted something that was already of a pre-designed use, but in its unused state is useless. It's just sitting there. All it is using up space. Ooh-wee. Confirmation from the gods right there. So there's some cookies for you. Some coffee. Sharing my thinking, sharing my thought energy with you as it arrives, and being a contributor to the goodness in the world, and that which has the potential to provide, supply a benefit to the consumer. Good old coffee with a little bit of the shilajit. What's in the coffee? A wee bit of shilajit. The resin, real good stuff. Company up there in Noosa. My old stomping ground. Hey, good old Noosa. So I'm signing off. Be good, be great, be brilliant. Bump it, punch it. Stay tuned. I've got another little video coming up I'd like to share with you. And I'm not an expert, but I'm noticing it's benefiting me. And it may actually be something that is very helpful for anyone, really. So what's that about? Stay tuned, and remember, to the fellas out there, do what you can with what you have to lead you towards the outcomes you seek to obtain, achieve, and acquire.